This is a first, never been done on YouTube.
Hi. Yeah. Those sails look gorgeous.
This is the Roaring 40s. This is why we put deep reefs in our sails.
How many sandwiches did you make?
You just wanted one. Yeah?
Sure.
You did, you said
I
one.
did. Yeah. Hi. Oh, do you want a sandwich?
Thanks.
Sorry.
I'm going to do it with a face full of food.
May as well be like you normally are with a face full of food.
Oh yeah.
This is the long shaft. Can I eat my sandwich now? If you balance it, you can do it one-handed. Look, see? It's not heavy.
It's not heavy.
It's 7.3 kilos.
That's right.
Welcome to Small Craft Tasmania. Welcome
this
to
is a lot
Small
of-
Craft Tasmania. We're here.
Another episode of Small Craft Tasmania. I'm Matt. This is Joe.
Hi.
And this is the new ePROPULSION eLITE long shaft. We're on board Elixir, our Com-Pac Eclipse, and we're at Legacy Beach, Northwest Bay, which is just to the northwest of the D'Entrecasteaux Channel, just above Bruny Island. Today we're also testing some new sails from Jimmy's Sails and Canvas, but we'll talk about those later. First, let's show you this. Looks the same, but there's a few differences. Obviously it's longer. You've got an adjustable bracket here, so you can make it a long shaft or a short shaft or somewhere in between. Another difference is that the tiller handle is a little bit longer, 7.3 kilos. The short shaft is 6.7 kilos. The total length is 104 centimeters. The short shaft is 89 centimeters. So it's around about 15 centimeters longer. The biggest difference maybe is the bracket. This is the bracket off the short shaft that I brought along to show you. Now, you can't use this bracket with the long shaft because the attachment is a little bit different. Overall, they look similar, but they're not. If you turn them upside down, you can see that they've beefed them up. The long shaft bracket is a little bit more sturdy. The short shaft bracket weighs 120 grams. The long shaft bracket is 140 grams. So they've beefed it up a little bit. A couple of other differences. The tilt mechanism is a little bit more smooth than the short shaft version. And I actually had some problems with the short shaft version at getting stuck and having to put silicone down in there to release it on some of the longer trips. This one feels a lot more smoother. The second thing that they've done in here is they've put a little anti-swivel pin in here, okay? So you'll notice that the short shaft version doesn't have that. So what you can do, you can stick a little pin in here. It locks the motor in the center position, which is really handy for sailboats like this. But there is an issue with that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I think that the new bracket is a big improvement over the older bracket. Having owned the short shaft now for just over a year, and we've used it a lot. And if you saw the Scamp capsize episode, you'll see that we submerged it in salt water maybe 6 times, and it's still going. There's still nothing wrong with the motor. It's one of our most used pieces of kit on all of our little boats. It's a great little motor. We're very excited to hear that they were designing a longer shaft because the short shaft is just a little bit too short for boats like this, and the Navigator as well. When the boat was porpoising like this, the prop would come out of the water. So having that little bit of extra length on here is going to make a big difference. There's a couple of things that I think ePROPULSION need to have a think about. Firstly, this is the bag that it comes with, and it's nice that it comes with a bag, but I think for the sort of money that you pay for these, I think that they could do a little bit of a better job, particularly in these areas here. Okay, so just hold that section up there. The motor goes into the bag, and then you've got this tip of the motor, and also the prop of the motor is along here. So when you drop the bag down, let's say you're at a ramp and you get the motor out of the car, you put it down on the concrete. These two areas here, they are hitting the concrete, and the bag that we have for our short shaft, it's already worn through and it's starting to damage this part. Joe's going to put some little pads on here at some stage, but I think that ePROPULSION should actually put a little bit of a foam pad just on these two areas. The other thing with the bag is that it really should have a pocket on the outside so that you can put the charger in there and maybe a strap that holds the bracket on as well. I mean, these things that you could probably do at home if you're handy with a sewing machine. That's what I would do with the bag. Something that I was a little bit surprised when they decided to launch the long shaft was, because it's a bigger motor, you would think that they could put more battery into it, but they didn't. They left the battery the same size. There's probably a reason behind it. Maybe they'd need to change all of the electronics as well. It was having to start again from scratch, so that's okay. We've actually never run out of power using our eLITEs. That we've always we've always got home and still had lots of reserve, haven't we? Yeah. Now we can run the house battery on Elixir straight into this as well, and it will charge while you're using it. So I know there's been confusion about that. There's a little light that comes on here. When it's charging, this little light will come on. If you start using it, the light may go off if you go above the watts that are being pushed back into the motor. However, it's still charging. It just means that you're using more that's being put back in. We've also got a 100-watt solar panel. You can plug the 100-watt solar panel into this via the ePROPULSION charger, and that charges it very, very quickly. In fact, you can charge this, I think, on a really good sunny day. It takes about 5 hours with a 120-watt solar panel to fill it back up again. And you can actually charge it with the solar panel and use it at the same time. Like I said before, if you keep your, it is great, isn't it? Yep. So if you keep your revs below, or your wattage below 100 watts, and you're generating 100 watts out of your panel, you'll actually see that the charging light stays on. It'll still charge even if you go above 100 watts, but it just means that you're using more power than what's being put in. So that's something that I've tested, and it actually works. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the bracket being a bit of an issue. The transom on Elixir it's not at 90 degrees. It's angled in a little bit. So if I was to use the locking pin on this to keep this going in a straight line, the motor's actually going to be about 15 degrees off. So unless you've got a flush transom at 90 degrees with the center line of the boat, this locking pin, it doesn't really work. So I would much prefer an anti-friction pin like they have on, say, a Yamaha or a Honda outboard motor. I think that's a much better idea. And also what it means is that if you desperately need to use the motor to get in and out of marinas, for example, sometimes it's nice to be able to swivel them and then to lock them back into place. Unfortunately, the only way that you can get this pin in and out is to take it off the transom, lift it up, and then turn it over, stick the pin in. It's not something that you can do when you're on the water, unfortunately. But these are little things. I think that ePROPULSION are a winner with this. I'll just explain what watt hours mean. So this is 378 watt hours. If you're using 1 watt, the motor will run for 378 hours, okay? So if you're using 10 watts, the motor will run for 37.8 hours. For 100 watts,
3.7.
3.78 hours. So if you're using it at 200 watts,
1.6.
You're right, you're 1.6 hours at 200 watts. So depending on how fast it's going to push your boat, let's say that it's pushing you at 2 or 3 knots, you know that it's going to push you 1.6 hours at about 2 or 3 knots. And there you go. You can do your maths on how far that's going to take you.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We haven't run out.
So you might remember episode 2, episode 3 from about 2 years ago. we took this boat up the Gordon River. Then there was a later episode, I can't remember what that was, where we took it around to Wineglass Bay.
Spectacular.
Yeah, so we've owned this boat since 2019. She had a little holiday with some friends of ours for a while. We've got her back now.
Feels good.
So let me tell you about the Com-Pac Eclipse. It was co-designed with Bruce Bingham in 2004. Bruce was famous for designing the Flickr 20. About 100 of the Eclipse were ever made. There's maybe 3 or 4 in Australia. Sadly, Com-Pac closed their doors this year after co-founder Jerry Hutchins passed. Her length overall is 21.3 feet with a waterline of 18 feet. The beam is 7.3 feet. She draws 1.5 feet and just over 5 feet when the stainless centerboard is deployed. The Eclipse weighs in a tonne and has a small fixed keel with 318 kilos of integrated ballast. Sail area is around 170 square feet. The original jib is 73 square feet and the main is 97 square feet. The new main we've just got from Jimmy is 117 square feet, and so the increase is around 20 square feet. So I've got an idea. Let's do a tug test.
What do you mean by that?
We're going to run a shoreline and send Joe to the shore, and we're going to see if we can pull Joe into the water using the eLITE. So the eLITE's going to push the boat and pull Joe off the shore.
That sounds reasonable.
Sound fun? That's going to be fun. Stay tuned. There's a big chunky shoreline.
This is big, baby.
It's a good shoreline. You ready?
I hope so. This is going to be a comedy of errors.
You all right?
Yeah.
All right, what I'll do, I'll put it into 100 watts and then we'll do 200 watts.
2.
Then we'll do 500 watts.
5.
And then we put it into the turbo mode, which is 750 watts.
Okay.
100 watts first. You ready?
Yep.
This is a first. Never been done on YouTube. Going in 100 watts now. Forward. Let's say 110 watts.
I can feel it, but... Go more, go 2.
Go 200 watts. All right, 200 watts. All right, that's 200.
Yep.
All right, let's go up to, what did I say? 500 watts. All right, here we go.
What are we at?
We're only at, we're 380. Here we go. Oh, there's a bit of cavitation. Nearly there, 500 watts.
Hang on. Yep.
We're going into turbo mode, so you double click and that goes up to 750 watts. There we go. Look at that. It's cavitating. You all right?
Yep.
Well done.
What is it?
That's 750 watts.
Okay. Ah! Far out.
It's got a bit of power. So the boat weighs a tonne. Joe's pretty strong. Going from 100 watts to 200 watts. 200 watts, she was having a bit of trouble. Then we went up to 400 watts, 350, 400 watts, and she was having a lot of trouble holding the boat. Then at 500 watts, it was pulling pretty hard. Let's see how the eLITE pushes the boat against the wind.
just a man and his boat.
Okay. $160 We're doing 2 knots according to the GPS. Joe's keeping up as usual. Okay, we'll just pump her up to 200 watts. And there's a bit of a headwind coming now. I reckon that's probably, there we go, 8 to 10 knots of wind on our nose. And 200 watts of power, and we're being pushed along at 1.6 knots. I'll go up to 400 watts. We're doing 2.5 knots into a headwind of about 8 to 10 knots. Here comes a gust now. All right, and we're still doing 2 knots. The gust hasn't slowed the boat down. Still doing about 2 knots. I'll pump it up to full speed, which is 500 watts. Still doing about 2 knots. So it really doesn't pay to wind these electric motors out. You get a lot of torque, even at low watts. 2.2, 2.3. Okay, wind's just dropped off a little bit. There's another gust coming. 2.5 knots now. Joe's still keeping up. I'll just put the wind on our beam for a bit. 3 knots now at 500 watts. Let me put it into turbo mode, which is 750 watts. And there we go, 3.5 knots. The centerboard up a bit more. 3.7 knots. So you get about a minute at 750 watts, and then it steps back down to 500 watts. And I'll just bring it back down. Still doing 3 knots, 250 watts with the wind on our beam. Let's see how the motor will stop the boat and put it into reverse. So we're doing 3 knots now, and I'll whack it into reverse. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of cavitation going on because it's just a bit bumpy in here. One of the fishing boats has gone past, and there's a bit of wake coming off that big boat that's just gone past. Okay. All right. Now it's just grabbed. All right. So I'm going to point her into the wind. Put the sail up. The tiller clutch is essential for single-handed sailing. It just means that you can set the tiller and go forward on the deck, or set a sail, drop a sail, and it just works like this. You just flick it down like that and it's locked. Flick it down, locked. So they're pretty handy. Ooh, that wind's picked up, isn't it? So I'll just put it on to about 100 watts and point her into the wind. Put the centerboard down. just where we are, it's an intersection of 4 different waterways, and the wind does some really strange things here as well. So it's sort of circling around in this area, but we've come in here because it's a little bit more sheltered than out further, and the wind's supposed to be picking up in the next couple of hours to about 25 knots. Might have to get out a bit further where the wind's a bit more consistent. There's so much more power in this sail than the old sail. Even though the old sail was 10 years old, same age as the boat, it was a bit baggy and it was never quite cut correctly. I could pull the vang on, but the boom would keep hitting the gallows. So I've always wanted to get new sails, and Jimmy said, oh, I've got an idea. Let's do a square top, full battened, loose foot. And he's right, you know, it's just, I can feel that the boat's just got a lot more power in light winds. The headsail, we've left that at 115%. I don't think that needs to be any bigger because we run the asymmetrical. We don't really need a bigger headsail. So we've now got 2 reef points, which is essential in Tasmania. The second reef point's quite deep as well. Now I've got to get a bit more luff tension on the headsail as well. It's fairly simple to do. It's got a CDI furler on the front, and the luff just goes up inside a foil that goes over the forestay. Very clever design. If you're based in Australia, or even if you want a quote from overseas, give Jimmy a call. I'll leave his link below. He specialises in small boats, you know, 10-foot dinghies up to 21-foot trailer sailors. He'll do bigger boats as well, but he wants to specialise in small boats. He does a fantastic job, and he's a good bloke. You might have noticed these little, they're cable organisers, and in Australia we buy these from Officeworks, but you can buy them online. They're a 3M product. I've had these on here for over 3 years, and they've not perished, they've not disintegrated. And they're just so much easier than drilling holes into the hull. They've got an adhesive backing, and you stick them on there and you can hang your ropes off them over here. I've got them. I've got one on the base of the mast as well for when I reef. That's better. Oh, beautifully balanced. We've got an autopilot for this boat, but we never need to use it because the boat's just so beautifully balanced. So I've started to get rid of all of the varnish, the bright work on this boat. It's been a long time coming. I haven't done any work on the varnish because I don't like varnish. Much prefer oils. And this is what I've done. I've taken all the varnish off, and now I've just used Sickens on everything. So I've done the washboards, I've done the tiller, I've done the coamings, a couple of other bits. I've done the bowsprit, so I've now got to do the grab rails and the hatch slides as well, and a couple of other bits of trimming around the cabin. But I quite like the Sickens. This is called Sickens Cetol, and it's an oil that you get back to bare wood, you put 3 coats on, and she's good for a couple of years. And then every other year, you just put another coat on. Very minimal work. Some eagle-eyed Eclipse owners are probably seeing a few differences to their boats. Comes a gust. Whoa, there we go. So there's main. We're doing 5 knots. Decent gust. Trying to film and sail at the same time is always hard work. There's Joe straight ahead. Behind Joe, that's Mount Wellington. You can see up there. So we're heading north at the moment. There's a big fishing boat. That's Tinderbox behind the fishing boat. Straight over there, that's Bruny Island. And between Tinderbox and Bruny Island, that's the Iron Pot. That's where I took the Sherpa for a little overnight cruise. Some of the eagle-eyed Eclipse owners have probably noticed a few differences to my boat. One thing is these inboard tracks. The previous owner put these on because he was having trouble pointing, and I'm not so sure that that's what the boat needed, because I'm still running the sheets on the outside of the stays. I think that works better, and you just move the car more aft. That seems to work better for me, but you know, play around, whatever works for you and the sail that you've got. What else have we done? Oh, there's a huge difference inside. You'll probably notice that our Eclipse doesn't have the normal galley section. So this is what the normal galley section looks like on an Eclipse, and underneath all of our mess, you'll see that what the previous owner has done, he's pulled the whole galley out and he's dropped the forward bunk in line with the side bunks. So now we just have an enormous sleeping area. And the galley we just put underneath here, and we just take it out when we need it. That works well for us. It just gives us a lot more room in there. A friend of ours had an Eclipse, one of the only ones in Australia, happened to be down in Tasmania, and we had a look on board her, and yeah, they're a little bit more pokey down below than this one. I like what they've done to this. What else? I got rid of the big Teflon traveller car that was on here because it kept hitting the gallows support, and I find that this stainless shackle works just as well. So we're still doing 4.5 knots, just under main alone. I'm just going slowly because Joe's ahead. I don't want to go too fast because I think she's keen to pedal all the way back to the ramp. I'd have to say my favourite part of this boat would have to be the open transom. I just love this. It's like being on a dinghy because the water's just there. And when you're at anchor, you can just sort of slip in and out of the water like a seal. It's a very clever design. Following sea, do we get water in here? There's only a couple of times when I've had water come into the cockpit, and that's usually when one of these big fish boats go past and there's an enormous wake and a following sea at the same time. Most of the time I'm, you know, maybe 2 or 3 inches of water will come in and then it just washes straight back out again, which is really handy. We've had a few waves come over the side and they just disappear. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the open transom. And good place to stand as well. You can stand here, hold on to the gallows, and you can manoeuvre the boat in and out of docks with good visibility, and you're right there standing next to the outboard. The gallows also act as a support for the mast. So the boom will go into here and then the mast will go into here. And the idea is that, just keep an eye on these gusts. So this is the Com-Pac mast ender system. You pull this pin out, the boom drops down in the internal track below the tabernacle. You pull this pin out, you undo the forestay, and then the whole mast just hinges back into the mast crutch, and then you've got sail and everything below this point, and then you unhook, you take these pins out, and then you walk the mast forward, and then there's a little cradle that sits into the bottom part of the mast. Very clever. You can rig this boat in about 10 minutes. 10, 20 minutes, you're at the ramp and in the water and sailing away. Yeah, I really like this system. And incidentally, this is keel stepped. So it's a trailer sailor with a keel step mast. That's pretty cool. You had enough? You want to jump in? Yep. Rudder up. Yep, I'll just point up a bit.
You're not filming me.
Yeah. Let's go. That's it. Just take the till up, just keep it on that line. Rightio. All right, you want to jump over? There you go. That's the new eLITE long shaft. I suppose if you're going to use it on a boat like this, you need to make a decision before you go to sea. Am I going to need something more powerful? Fair enough. It's a good argument for a bigger petrol motor for sure. If you get into a tricky situation, you wouldn't want to rely on the eLITE, but for just day sailing, just getting in and out of the marina, moving the boat around, it's fantastic. And like I said, we've never really used the full battery on it because if we're going to go a long distance, we'll take a bigger petrol outboard with us. We hope you've enjoyed another episode of Small Craft Tasmania.
Stay salty.
Stay salty. See you next time. Thanks. We got her back on the trailer just in time. Come and have a look at this. This is the Roaring 40s. This is why we put deep reefs in our sails. See you next time.
Boats. Kids boats, food, movies boats, beach boats. Let's cook dinner boats. Boats.
Cucumber sandwiches.
Quite yummy. I hope you fall in. You do it.